Thank you so much, Ayers, and thank you, Michelle, for organizing all this. I'm Frank Dobbin. I'm a professor of sociology in the department across the hall, 5th and 6th floor. I'm currently chairing that department, so I have some experience with the management troubles that I'll be talking about today. My book is called Getting to Diversity, What Works and What Doesn't. My co-author is Alexandra Kalev, who's an associate professor of sociology at Tel Aviv University and chair of the department there. So we've been sharing our woes about diversity issues in real life. Suddenly we are the kinds of managers that we are studying in the book. The book covers 830 companies over 45 years. We have quantitative data for those companies over this period of time, and we also do a bunch of interviews, hundreds of interviews. So we have a lot of data, and our goal is to figure out what causes firms to become more diverse, what causes firms to become less diverse, and which diversity management programs do nothing at all. Many do nothing at all. The bad news is that the programs that are most likely to backfire, so by backfire, when I talk about success and failure, I'm talking about whether programs actually increase the diversity of the management population in firms. That's what we look at over time. With some statistical magic, we wipe everything else out of the equation. We just look at the effects of introducing a particular kind of diversity program on the subsequent diversity, say 7, 10 years later, of managers. And the bad news is that the things that are most popular actually backfire. They actually lead to decreases in diversity. And what's particularly disturbing is that these are the things that companies have doubled down on since the murder of George Floyd in May of 2020. Companies got all excited about trying to fix this problem, and they're doing more of the stuff that backfires. The things that backfire won't be much of a surprise to social scientists, but I'll talk a minute about those and then 2 minutes maybe about what, what actually does work. The things that are most common these days, and these have been things that have been common for 40 or 50 years, are anti-bias training of some sort, rules to prevent managers from acting on biases, and grievance procedures to punish those managers who have been accused of and found guilty of practicing discrimination in the workplace. None of these things work because they all are designed to change what goes on in people's heads or their behavior, and they target individuals as the problem rather than social structures within the firm. And what they lead to a kind of backlash that causes managers to shy away from issues of diversity, to not talk about them, and to actually be more likely to discriminate against people of color and women. So you have to read the book to learn why. Less than $10 on Kindle. And so what actually works? The things that work are things that don't try to get inside of the heads of individuals and don't identify individual managers as the culprit in the slow progress toward diversity. They're things that change the career system in sometimes subtle ways, but to open it up to a wider range of groups of people. So we especially find that special recruitment systems, which are just a way of democratizing recruitment to include all people, are effective. The reason I say democratizing, firms have always recruited here at Harvard. Since the 20s, they've sent recruiters to Harvard. They don't go to Howard necessarily, and simply adding Howard to the list and other historically black colleges has a significant positive effect 10 years later on the diversity of managers. And it's a sustained effect that lasts in our data across the 40 years of data that we have. Another thing that works super well is mentoring programs that open up mentoring to everybody. So many companies still have mentoring programs that they describe as informal. And in informal mentoring programs, just as in informal recruitment programs, it's usually white male managers choosing their proteges. Just as in informal recruitment, it's usually white men managers choosing the people they know in the community to hire. And they tend to choose people like themselves. It's kind of natural. Simply opening up the recruitment system, the mentoring system to everybody, so offering everybody in the firm a mentor, makes a huge effect that's also sustained over 40 years, in the data that we see. The other things that are quite effective are democratizing skill and management training. So in most firms, skill and management training is kind of left to chance. A manager in a particular department, accounting shows one of his subordinates, usually his, how to do payroll or how to do scheduling. And then when the manager is off for 2 weeks, that person takes over. And then suddenly when that manager gets promoted, the person who's been practicing being a manager gets the job. Just changing all of these processes so that they're open to everybody, democratized. The best way to do that with skill and management training is to let people nominate themselves for skill and management training and let anybody in the organization do it, not segment by where you are in the organization. And so the advantages of doing diversity management in this way is it really opens up the career system to everybody. And I will just say one other, I think, important change companies can make. All kinds of work-life programs increase opportunity for not only all groups of women, but all groups of minority men. So it's actually pretty simple to implement policies that do make a change, but most companies are still doubling down on the policies that backfire. I have 10 seconds left.